All right, so I am joined by Lisa from the band Splintered Throne.
Yeah.
This is Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
You bet, man. Thank you.
Oh, it's my
Thank you.
pleasure. I had the privilege of listening to the album called "The Greater Good of Man,"
Yeah,
which will be out. The full album will be out in August 19th.
that's right.
Um, But right now, for those of you who are watching this, if you want to get a taste of what's in store for you with the album, there are two singles that are available on Bandcamp called Morning Star Rising and The Reaper Calling, and they are both free digital downloads.
That's
So
right.
definitely go check them out. The band is from Portland. I know primarily you're playing West Coast venues, I would
Yeah,
imagine. But if you're not familiar with Splintered Throne, the music is primarily heavy metal, different genres of heavy metal. I would say traditional power metal, symphonic metal, new wave of British heavy metal. Sometimes I feel like half of these subgenres exist so that people will have something to argue about. Um,
yeah.
but ultimately, it's just good hard music. Um, I feel like there were definitely elements when I was listening to it where I got the sense, okay, this reminds me of Iron Maiden, this reminds me of Judas Priest. Um, so that it could definitely fit in with that sort of like 80s, 70s,
Yeah.
90s metal genre. But
That Nwabum kind of era.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But there are a
definitely.
lot of elements that are unique to Splintered Throne. That what's always cool for me is when there's a contemporary band that I find that plays the music I enjoy that can take the place of a band that isn't as active. So I feel like I can add Splintered Throne into that mix.
I see what you mean. I definitely see what you mean. We've been blessed so far. I mean, we're all the members of Splintered Throne. We all came up in the '80s, and we went to those shows, and you know, uh, people can call us boomers, but we're really Gen Xers, and we got to go all the kick-ass shows. We're all fans of Bay Area thrash, for instance. But of course, we don't sound like Bay Area thrash because we also, we just love rock and metal and the new wave of British heavy metal. We're all fans of that, and so it's old school metal, man. It's old school heavy metal. It's without being a parody of itself, which is fine. I'm fine with those, kind of parody bands that, just, go over the top and get kind of cheesy and the big hair and all that stuff. That's fine. That's not where we are. It's a little more raw, a little more authentic. I think that's where that Bay Area thrash influence comes from, or shows up in the music. But I'm the newest member, one of the two newest members of the band, and this was not a female fronted band. They had a singer named Brian Garrison, and he's a big, tall guy, and I'm just a little shrimp. So I'm definitely very different than the previous singer. But they were around for about 10 years before I joined the band. And, they refined their sound over time and always had like melodic influences too, and like AOR kind of influences. So you can even hear like some almost like journey melodies and stuff like that are kind of thrown in there with more thrashy, riffage. And yeah, I was a fan of the band, to be honest.
Well, it'll be
Before I
interesting.
joined, I was in the front row watching the
Yeah.
band, and the lead singer said I quit. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to try to join this band.
Well, it's cool that you mentioned that because I feel like your vocal styling, which is a little bit more operatic of a
Yeah.
delivery, fits really well with that melodic output.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
I haven't heard the original singers any of the music, so it would be.
Really impressive, man.
I'm
Really
sure,
impressive.
I'm sure, but it's great that you've been able to blend all of your styles together to sort of form the next phase of the band.
Yeah.
Um,
That feels good. It just felt like, especially songwriting with Jason Moser, we had to do it over Zoom a lot like this and over the internet and sharing files and stuff because of the pandemic. And, but it just felt really natural to write because I wrote the lyric melodies for most of the songs and the lyrics. It just felt really natural to write with him. I think that we're all kind of coming from a similar background makes a big difference. And pardon my voice, by the way, I've been sick as a dog. It was just a cold too.
It's all good.
Flu, I was COVID negative, thank God. But boy, this cold has been kicking my ass. So.
Well, you
stay safe out there.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I don't think you would know that you've only been a member of the band for a shorter period of time based on the strength of the songs that you've written together.
Thank you.
So it's not. I think sometimes when a new member comes in, there's like a grace period you need with recording or writing, where there's sort of like figuring each other out. Yeah. But I think you've probably come in with hitting the ground with both feet running. So it definitely feels that way.
Well, we've all made records. Right. These guys have made a few albums. I'm a blues artist by trade. I'm a contemporary blues artist. And that's been my career for the most part. And I've made 5, 6 albums. I've self-produced. And so I know how to make a record. I know how to write a song. I'm a musician. I'm a bass player by trade. So, when I was writing with them, there'd be lyric ideas, melody ideas that I would come up with and say, this chord progression is almost going to fit, but hey, let's change it to this. Just tweak here a little bit to fit it in. And so I think just the fact that we've all had experience in the studio, we've had experience songwriting. My new experience is writing with other people and writing with a group of people too. That's a new experience because usually I write on my own. And I did White Crone, so my background is also with White Crone is my personal project. And so, yeah, I think it's just the fact that we've all done this before. We've made records before, we've written songs before, and we just kind of were on the same level.
Yeah. Well, I think there's
really proud of it.
There's that element to it, but I think there's also the chemistry that I think needs to develop. So it's apparent that the chemistry has developed in the output in the album.
Awesome. Thank you.
And it'll be cool. Now, I would imagine as the pandemic has started to change the landscape a little bit, are there plans in place to tour or to play live in the near future?
We have some gigs coming up, and we have in Vancouver, Washington on August 20th. That's the day after the release. We're going to be playing at a place called Billy Blues in Vancouver, Washington. And they've got a great sound system, killer sound man, great stage, lights, everything. So we're looking forward to that. We've got a festival in Roseburg coming up. We don't have a whole lot booked just yet, but that is because we're still coming out of the pandemic. And we also have our own lives. We have our day jobs. I don't have a day job. I'm a musician, but everybody's got lives. We're just trying to check everything out, working around my blues schedule too. But we want to get out there, man. Especially we want to do some of these festivals. We see our buddies in Greyhawk and Solicitor, and they're doing these festivals, and we're like, yeah, let me at them, But first, we got to get the album out.
Sure. Well, the album will come out in a couple of months. For right now, if you're interested, you can listen to the tracks, some of the singles on Bandcamp. It's great to know that you have a couple of gigs lined up, and hopefully as things continue, that'll just pick up again. And if people want to find more information, I know there's a band website, which I believe is just splinteredthrone.com.
Splinteredthrone.com. It's pretty easy to find us.
So yeah, I mean, and it's really, again, I'm going back to this. I feel like I have a core group of bands I enjoy listening to, but as time goes by, they put out less and less music. They're touring less, they're doing things less. So it's always trying to find who are the new bands that can take their place. And within each genre, there's at least like 3 or 4 bands that I've earmarked. So it's great to know that Splintered Throne will be, active, making music, touring, and able to take the spot of some of those other bands.
Yeah, well, we all want those classic bands to continue. We're all fans of, the Maidens and Accept and bands like that, and they're still going on. Saxon and power metal, is still happening. But there's a lot of great up and coming young bands. There's this great underground metal scene, and that's what was fascinating to me as a blues artist when I made the White Crone album. Was I was a totally new artist in this new genre, and then it's like I fell into this underground metal scene, and it's like, oh, there's all this juicy stuff that's just like under the surface. It's not getting a lot of radio play, and it doesn't get enough attention. And I've made a lot of friends. There's metal Twitter, and made a lot of friends that way. And it's just a lot of these old school bands, like I mentioned, like Solicitor. He's this female fronted band. They're keeping this like thrash, speed metal thing alive. Bewitcher's another band from here in Portland that's keeping the speed metal tradition alive. And we're keeping that power metal and just traditional old school, just raise your horns, fucking bang your head, old school stuff, and keeping it alive. Not because, like I said, not because we're trying to be a parody, not because it's the cool new hip thing to do is NWOTHM, but more just like this is in our hearts, man, and we want to keep that fire burning. So I really appreciate that you appreciate that.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. And fortunately, there are a ton of other people out there like me who also appreciate it. And hopefully, in this digital age where it's easier to find music and see bands play and keep touch with people, that this will open a lot more doors for people to find your music.
Yeah.
That's what I hope will happen. So first, I hope you feel better, certainly. And I look forward to the album being released in a few months. But I'm fortunate that I've heard it. I have it. I will listen to it again. And I urge those of you out there who can, go to Bandcamp, check out the singles, whet your appetite, get the album when it drops in August, follow Splintered Throne. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you. And you know what? We're going to have a pre-sale starting on July 8th. So you can go to Bandcamp and pre-save or pre-order the CD. So that's splinterthrone.bandcamp.com. So that's what we're really aiming at, is that July 8th date, when people can come on down, and we'll have another single release too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll put that down, July 8th. There will be a pre-sale for the album.
Right.
The album will drop on the 19th of August.
That's right, man.
But plenty to look forward to.
Thank you.
So, thank you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, man.
You got it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right.